Hey, this is Keisha, on staff sexpert on Black Life and Entertainment, and I'm coming to you from Between the Sheets where we talk about all the things you need to keep it sexy, keep it steamy, and most of all, keep it safe. So, this is our kickoff blog, and we are going to take it back to the basics. Something that is very simple, you know, the things that you've heard over and over and over and over again. And what is that? Sex and communication. I can't say enough that communication in your sex life is one of the most important things that will take you a very, very long way. One of the primary things to know about sex and communication is that, you know, really, you need to be able to communicate well to get the best sex that you can. Not get the best sex that you can, but have the best sex that you can out of your relationship. And and the thing about communicating with your partner is that it helps you to build a better sense of comfort with each other. And the thing about that is that you should be able to communicate before sex, during sex, after sex. And it's really important. And another thing about communication is that I really encourage women to be okay with being forward and being very vocal about sex, because it's okay for women to be empowered by their sexuality, and it's okay to take responsibility for your level of sexuality as a woman. So, I encourage women to be as open about communicating about sex as they can. And another thing about communication and sex is to be able to be honest with yourself about your level of sexuality. Some people are very sexual while others are, their sexuality is somewhat limited, and they're okay with that, and that's okay too. And another thing about sex and communication is that it's okay to talk about sex in the early phases of a relationship. Some of the important things to talk about with a partner or a potential partner in the early phases of a relationship is one thing is STDs and HIV, and so you should be able to talk about getting tested. One of the major things that is mostly important, especially for people in the Washington, D.C. area, is to get tested for HIV, because we are most affected by this epidemic. So, talk about STDs and HIV with your partner. Also, you want to be able to talk about birth control and family planning. If you don't want to have any children now, talk to your partner about birth control and what methods of birth control that you're most comfortable with using, or which ones that you plan to use. Also talk about how you feel about having children, now and even maybe later. That's also important when it comes to sex. And I think when you talk about those things, it can kind of free up some space for you to feel more comfortable with each other sexually, because you're both on the same page. You both have the same things in mind when it comes to family planning and birth control. Another thing is, when you're asking your partner questions about sex, about how they feel about things sexually, be willing to be open and be prepared for whatever answers that they may have to your questions, if you really do want the answers. Another thing about communication and sex is when you're talking to each other, you want to be able to express things from a point of view of yourself, as far as how you may feel about things. For instance, if you and a partner, you engaged in some type of sexual act, and it was something that was pleasurable for you, it made you feel good, you loved it, you thought it was awesome, it was the most orgasmic thing you'd had experienced, you should be able to find a way to say to your partner, you know what, last night when you did that, I loved it, it was great, do that again, I like that. And also, if there's something that's taking place that you don't quite feel as excited about, be able to say, honey, when you did that, I wasn't as turned on by that as I would have liked to have been. But express things in the terms of how you feel about things. And when you are expressing something that you don't particularly care for, try to use I statements rather than putting things in a perspective where it seems that it's about the other person doing something wrong, or they didn't do something that was as pleasurable to you, and it might make them feel in some senses inferior. And the thing is, it can be damaging to a person's self-esteem. And so, you want to be very constructive about expressing your feelings about the things that go on with you and your partner sexually. And the biggest thing about communicating in sex is that, it really helps you to build a good level of trust with your partner. It also can help you to find new desires, new pleasures, new things that you love. But it also can help you to communicate directly with your partner about what kind of boundaries that you might have. And there might be a thing where you just know hands down, no, I don't want to go to this place or that place or the other, and that's perfectly fine. But, being able to communicate with your partner is definitely a positive thing, and it will definitely take you a very long way in your relationship. So, one thing I wanted to introduce today is the wine of the day. And this is something that you can have just to get you in the mood, when you are with your special someone, your significant other, and, you might be winding down, having dinner. This is a good wine that I like. It's a white wine, and it's actually made by Linganore Wine Cellars, and this is their May wine. It's actually only available in May. So I don't know how long you're going to be able to catch it now because it's June now, but this is a good one if you can catch it in May. And it's a white wine. It kind of has a fruity taste, but it's light, almost like a Chardonnay, almost like a dry wine. But for the most part, it's on the sweeter side, and it's really good. I enjoy it, so this is what I recommend. And I'll come to you with more wines of the day for you to just get some ideas on some wines that you might want to try with your significant other. But anyhow, so I hope that I may have shed some light on some things or revisited some things that you might just want to touch on again and think about in your relationship with your partner, your significant other, your husband, your wife. That's it from Keisha, Sexpert on Black Life and Entertainment, where we come to you from between the sheets and keep it sexy, keep it steamy, and most of all, keep it safe.